And anyway, somebody found these like ridiculously overpriced cabinets, right? Check that out. That cabinet's $12,899, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, that name Samaya, that's the name of a missing kid. And they had two different cabinets with names of missing children on them for $15,000.
whoa.
Man, come
That's
on, dude.
I mean, look, I'll
What?
show you the. I know, like, why would that cabinet be $15,000?
Man.
so what's the encrypted message here?
Well, they're just saying because Wayfair has some connection to the Wayfair has some kind of weird connection to what do you call it? To the camps where the immigrant kids are being kept, and like they're just it's just more of the same.
Oh,
It's just like I'll show you another one. Like, okay, so here's another one. Yuritsa storage cabinet. Hold on one second. Let me see if this works. Like first of all, why are they named after? Why do they these stupid cabinets have human names? Right? Like, what's going on? Why is there even a cabinet named Yuritsa? One second. Let me get this.
right.
You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. And Wayfair is like acting like it's you guys are being ridiculous, but also they took all the cabinets off of the site and like just suddenly they took them down. Why, if there's no big deal, why didn't they leave them up?
Right.
Doesn't make any sense. They took them all down. Look at this. Yuritsa storage cabinet. Exact same cabinet for $13,799. And then look at this.
For whatever reason, your pictures are coming up backwards.
Oh, they are?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's weird. Oh, because you know what it is?
Which adds to the thrill of this suspense.
Right.
It's what it must be. It must be StreamYard is. Let me see what's going on here. Oh shit, that's creepy as hell. I don't know how to fix that. There's probably an easier way to do that. I could probably drop it into the chat maybe or something, or I don't know. Anyway, the point is, like, y'all can Google this. It's really creepy. And there's Yuritsa is a missing kid. Like, and so now everyone's all freaking out because they're like, what's going on? This doesn't make it. Is this like the next Pizzagate?
So I feel like there's a whole world going on with those encrypted messages like that I never was able to connect to, but I'm so curious and interested. Like, what is that? Because that's a whole that's a topic that gets overlooked, but it keeps popping up. The trafficking story, that topic that I've been really curious about, because it's something that apparently happens all the time, but it just like Corona, it never feels like it, because you personally haven't experienced or know somebody close to you who's gone through it. But you could be just walking around and walk right past a transaction and have no idea about it, So, like,
Yeah.
wow, what?
I mean, that's the thing. It's like they say it's the one of the top industries in the world. Human trafficking, is like it's happening that much that it's like it's an industry. But yeah, nobody, like, you never, how would you even know? Like, we've more than likely we've driven by on the highway a van where someone was being kidnapped. That someone was being kidnapped in. And it's not conspiracy either. I mean, it's like everybody knows this shit happens, but nobody wants to think about it. I mean, aside from like, the people who are taking immigrants over the border, where at least they're letting them out for money. Like, this is like, even darker. You know, the people are being like taken out of the United States and sent to like Saudi Arabia and places like that when they're kids. It's just bizarre.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
I was watching the episode of Vice a few seasons ago, and they were doing an episode about it and talking to girls in some part of Asia. I forgot what part. But these girls had never seen what a TV looked like before, and I just thought that was so crazy that you could be hidden or somewhere far away for so long, or your whole life where you haven't even experienced like what being a normal human being is. Like all you know is this little box. That's wild.
That's wild. Happy night. Wow. What a great topic. You had this beautiful story about the crystal. And I'm like, hey guys, look at the demons in my house. People being trapped.
I recently also saw this sort of Twitter conspiracy. Well, it wasn't really conspiracy. It was just like a topic that came up recently about Deshaun Jackson, the wide receiver of the Philadelphia Eagles. Did y'all see this?
No.
Where he quoted Louis Farrakhan quoting Hitler about black people in America, or the black man in America, which is I find interesting. Just because my whole life there has been this talk of, how black people are the real Jews, and that they're somewhere along the lines that there was a separation in the tribes, and therefore like the black Jew is sort of forgotten about, or was hidden away for so long, or something like that. And it's just like a lot of stuff where I feel like I've been hearing this for a long time. But
red alert.
I know, man. I know. But I'm just saying I'm bringing up. I'm not bringing up any like type of like stance on it. I'm just saying that I've seen people talk about this, and it's just I find it interesting that like what is that about?
What's the quote?
Oof.
So Farrakhan gave an address last week, and I think he pulled some of the quotes from Farrakhan's speech and just talked about it. The problem was with him using, it sounded like he was supporting Hitler, because I think he had either used a Hitler quote or something like that. But Max Kellerman did a really good job of like dissecting what was going on, because he made a good point about addressing what, the Jewish community was angry about. And it was really the Hitler thing. But he was saying that, Deshaun could have been speaking to this whole, conversation about, the historical context of who the real, Hebrew Israelite people are. And that's a totally different conversation. But I think those two had got meshed into one. But yeah, that's a very,
that's that. You know what I call that? I call that you're going to be paying your publicist overtime to try to try to fix that fucking quote.
Oh,
you can't look. You can't quote Hitler. I'm sorry. Like you can't. Like you can't quote Hitler and expect to. It's just how is anybody going to react to that? But like, I don't know too much of what Hitler said. I mean, if Hitler said something like about the laws of physics or stuff, I mean, just think about it. You can't have think of what Hitler destroyed aside from the horrors of the people he murdered.
Yeah.
He destroyed the name Hitler. You can't, he's such an asshole. Like his kids, like there's no more Hitlers, I've heard. He destroyed a mustache style. Like, you can't do that little cube mustache anymore. I didn't say cute. I said cube. The Charlie Chaplin mustache.
Yeah.
Forget it. You can't do that shit. I don't care if you're like the deepest hipster in Silver Lake. You cannot do a Hitler mustache. And you know what I mean? Like, just, it's weird. Farrakhan is like quoting Hitler too, because wasn't Hitler like just profound, wasn't just racist against Jews, but was racist against everybody.
Well, one of his tactics in the war was to recruit black soldiers because of the mistreatment that black people were going through in America. He used the tactic of like, you know what I mean? It's funny, man. When I remember learning about that, and then when I saw it in what was it? Is it Spike Lee's what was that movie Spike Lee did? Miracle at St. Anna. You know, they would drop these sort of leaflets on them and like let them know like you were mistreated in America. It's all this propaganda that they would put, you know, like, and you think about it like, hell yeah, I'm being mistreated. And, you know, so it was like a sort of tactic and tool to use against America.
Here's a great, it looks like the New Yorker did a whole essay on it. This is interesting. I had no idea. This is fascinating to hear. Hold on one second. I'm just putting this link up. Here's a link to the New Yorker. How American racism influenced Hitler. Yeah, there was an American Nazi party. Do y'all know about that? Like there was a literal, while World War II is happening in America. I think somewhere around here you can actually go to like one of the old American Nazi, they have a little encampment still. I think the American Nazi Party was actually canceled by ignoring it, is how the story goes. That they were like, you know, that apparently like people went to all the major newspapers and said, just don't report on them. Don't mention them. Don't say anything about it. And they didn't. And they just kind of they just sort of apparently went away. But,
now they returned to the good boys.
I guess they didn't completely go away because they have their own website, the AmericanNaziParty.com. Advancing National Socialism into the 21st century. Oh, wow. This is crazy. It's crazy that this exists.
Is it possible to have nationalism for America and not be racist? Is that possible?
That's a great question. I mean,
because nationalism is just literally love for your country, right? Like,
yes,
it's the dedication to your country. I see this in other countries, and it's a real, genuine, true love for their country. In New Zealand, they have a genuine love and respect for their country. They love it.
Yeah,
it is a beautiful pride that I'm quite envious of, actually, because I'm like, I want to love America like that. I want to love where I'm from, and I think I do, but it's complicated. Because I'm like, I don't know if it loves me back. Like, you know what I mean? Like, New Zealanders love their country, and New Zealand seems to try to love their country back. From what I understand, like, they got their issues, don't get me wrong, but there's just something about it where it's like, man, I would love to have that kind of patriotism for my own country. Like, yeah, this is great.
Yeah, it's like I think you can, but I think you can't think of. I think that like what's cool or amazing about is that they call it the American experiment, which is an interesting way to put it. But it also it means it's something that's supposed to be fluid. That was what's cool about it. It's a democracy that it's supposed to be a democracy. So that means that like it's supposed to manifest itself as the will of the people, which is not something that's going to stay static over time, but it's going to change. Meaning that, you know, when I see shit like the Supreme Court slapping Trump and being like, no, you got to show those tax returns. Like the president doesn't have immunity. The president doesn't have the shit you were saying. You know, when you see things like that happen, to me, as slow moving as it is, it shows like, okay, that's good. I mean, that's really good because we can't have kings here in the Supreme Court. That's the final. Once it goes there, that's a final say. So I think you don't have to. I hope you can love the country, but you don't simultaneously have to love its history, because otherwise you're crazy. You don't have to love that it enslaved people, murdered Native Americans, that it, you know, the Red Scare, fucking Nixon, the assassination of JFK, and our 93% of our history have been at war. You don't have to love that. That's cultism. That you'll be in a cult if you're like, I love it all that burning buildings and smoldered baby flesh. But to me, I think you can like love that there is a potential here that we are having this conversation freely right now, that we were able to do this with technology, and that our entire political system, if we can get that fucking electoral college taken care of, and if we can get, like push back against it, there's a chance that it does become our country, your country, and not these rich motherfuckers' countries. It's ours. We all share it equally. There's a chance. Right now, I don't know. God, someone play the fucking national anthem behind me.
Where's that flag backdrop, man? Shit.
I want to love it. I mean, I love that Allen Ginsberg poem. Sorry, go ahead.
Do you think there needs to be some type of atonement as well? Like, since the history is so bad, like I feel like it has to be addressed in some kind of way in order to move forward. It's just like a relationship. It's like, okay, we can get back together, but in order to do that, like we gotta talk about what happened, so we can, learn from it, heal from it, and be, and be in a better relationship if we're gonna stay together, because that's the only way a healthy relationship is gonna work.
What is making me think about is like this weird sort of infinity sign that history makes in the world, and like, just thinking about the conquests over time and the years that it took to form the countries that are formed. And like, here I am talking about New Zealand, how great it is, but they fucking butchered the people of that land to make it what it is,
That's true.
And to hear the stories about how like Maori people would settle things with each other. Like they had cannibal tribes that fucking ate their enemies. Are people gonna be seeking an apology for that? Hey man, you ate my ancestors, dude, and I'm fucking pissed about it. Are you gonna atone for that? So it's like it's a weird.
If it's forgotten history and nobody knows about it, I get it. But if it's like still right there in your face, like, and it's kind of crazy that some of the stuff we're still dealing with, but it's just right there in your face. But I hear what you said though, because I mean everywhere has been tainted everywhere.
Yeah,
by somebody at some point.
yeah. I mean, but it's like. Why is there an American Nazi Party? Like these are things I think we're talking about, like, and I think this is one of the things in Chappelle's awesome special that he really said in a perfect way, which is like, this wasn't that long ago. Like, we're not talking about the pyramids here. We're talking about like our grandparents. And so this isn't that far back, and that they try to make it seem like this is like the ancient, dusty past of our country, and it's not. And then also they try to make it seem like, I mean, you're seeing it all the time, man. I mean, I was talking to a friend. Some people are having this sense of like, I don't want to go on Twitter. I'm one of them. I don't want to go online right now, and then feeling guilty about that. But it's like you're seeing it right now, which is like these things called Karens or whatever, right? You're seeing these like people who are just their fuses are blowing, man. And they're like, you're like, people are filming, thank God, right away. And you see that on Reddit. It's like, it's a subreddit, and you see right when the camera comes out and they realize they've been filmed, telling some black person to get out of their neighborhood or bullying somebody or some shit like that. They like, and like, back off because they don't want anybody to know. But that's just because the camera came up.
Right.
I think the atonement is like, are we even close? The question would be, are we even close to where we can atone? And like for me, atonement means I do some stupid shit get like I'm an asshole, or maybe I get in a fight with my wife and I'm in the wrong. Atonement means like the following amount of time afterwards where I'm like, I'm sorry. Can I bring you anything? You know, until she like forgives me. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's in the ball's in her court
Yeah.
at that point. What is an atonement is telling someone, forgive me now. That it's like,
Right.
you know what I mean? It's like, no, it's like if you're truly atoning, the person who's forgiving you, it falls in their court. So,
So since we're in a relationship with well, say we, so I look at it like, all right, if America is a narcissist, so how does one deal with a narcissistic spouse? Because they usually don't have any intentions on taking accountability. They're gonna find every possible thing they can bring up to make it either your fault or something that you should just forget about, and like just listen to what I say and like let's just keep going on. So maybe we gotta take it from like that perspective. Like, how do you deal with a narcissist? Because that's what it feels like. That relationship has been like, you know, as a collective with, you know, like good people trying to talk about like, let's do better, let's right the wrongs, and then you got another group of people like this making every excuse to not deal with it as if it's not there.
right.
Yeah. I posted this thing about like, you know, just sort of casually on my stories on Instagram. I posted this thing that was like, you love our music, you love our culture, but when it comes to black violence, you're silent. And then you know, and that's of course to say about like, you know, cops killing black people or whatever, but a guy messages me, this troll messages me and goes, well, they're responsible for 94.6% of crime. You know, that's how much violence is involved amongst each other. So could you please explain that? And I thought of all the ways I could burn this motherfucker alive, but nothing would come to avail. So it was just like, you got to let people like that go and let them think what they're going to think. And, you know, but it's like, because nothing you can say to a person like that. It's nothing you can say to have them understand that all of this stuff comes from the system. All of this stuff is birthed from the system. It's not like to look at an area and wonder why there's so much crime in it when 90% of it is impoverished. Like what do you expect?
Yeah.
Of course crime is going to pop up there. And it's because you all put red lines around the city to say who could live here and who couldn't.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But like it's just weird. It's just weird that like there's no explanation that you can give that people will actually take the time and go, oh, I think you're right. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's even deeper than that, because before the 60s there was no such thing as the projects. Like that was a literal project, an experiment to create a new type of human being that has a consciousness that's, you know, you see the difference. And I mean, obviously it didn't last and people are coming out of it, but that didn't exist, and then it became a thing, and then you created this whole new group of people who like their whole makeup started off in this, you know, system that was created to keep them right where they are, and it was working.
Yeah.
Still kind of is working right now.
Yeah. But what is what how would atonement look like? What I mean, what would, maybe that's part of the part of it is coming up with something that, even if it's, you know, a ridiculous dream, coming up with some concise, have they already come up with like, this is what would settle the score for the mass human trafficking operation that built the country that y'all are
Fuck,
currently.
man. This is Go ahead, Brandon, because I think I'm a little controversial on this one.
Okay. I think that's up to us to figure that out because um waiting any longer for someone else to come up with an idea of what I need to do to repent for what I did, it will we'll be waiting forever. So and dealing with that type of situation, standing on your own and saying, this is who I am, this is what I tolerate, this is not what this is what I have no tolerance for. These are my demands, and if these demands are not met, these are the consequences. So it's creating your own voice, your own entity, your own independent self. That's something that we haven't had because we've been dependent on this toxic relationship. That's why we're still victim of it, because even though we're getting abused, we don't know how to break up because we don't know how to stand on our own feet. At least we don't think that yet. So I think once we learn how to really do that and we demand what the new standard is or what word to use to call us, then, that I think that's the atonement is us setting what that looks like.
And then there being a sort of follow up or respect of like, all right, yeah, okay, we can abide by that. There being some sort of agreement upon.
How do you do that though? How do you come up with a set of demands or an expectation or something? Who would be in, like, how would you even organize that? How would that work?
I think that what would end up having to happen is you would need a bunch of well-to-do people who got something to gain, that don't mind speaking for people who don't mind speaking up and saying, this is Black life, my life is Black life, and therefore all Black lives are like mine. You need somebody who's bold enough to stand up and say that, and then say, all right, on this date, online at this website, we are voting. It gives everybody the opportunity. You give them 1 month to go on this website and answer these questions for Black America. Every Black American or who registers as Black will get a key code and will register into that key code. And they will have to answer a series of questions. And then at the end result of that, everybody abides by this is what it is. How does that sound?
That's an option.
I love it. I mean, we certainly have the technology for it. Nat just popped up that Ice Cube wrote a 5-page report.
Oh yeah,
And that's a good start. That is a good start. Because he's an influencer and he has a voice, which means the more attention is put into one thought. That's the thing. We're so divided, we cannot agree to something long enough to get it done. Something always gets in the way. Like, for example, since George Floyd was murdered, one of the biggest leaders in that movement has been a close friend of his, Steven Jackson, former NBA star. But since the whole Farrakhan and Deshaun Jackson situation, now he's went over from Batman to Joker. He's now on the villain side because he came off as supporting Deshaun Jackson. So that took away a lot of, momentum for what he was trying to get done, because now he's offended a whole nother, community of people. So things like that seem to continuously happen to us when we're, gaining momentum. It's distractions.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So social media is going to be the abuser, but also the savior at the same time.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I wanted to say about, as far as like what atonement looks like to me, is build us a Wakanda. Like, actually build that shit. Give it to us. Give us a chunk of land that if we choose to go there and live by our own blackety selves, we can do that. And you literally give us sovereign land and let us operate as Wakanda. And we have we get all the advanced technologies to put inside of there. In fact, give stipends to all of our HBCUs to a point where they have just as much money as Ivy Leagues.
Wow, that's cool.
You
give us all the resources that we need in order to gain stability for ourselves in our sovereign land. I think that is what atonement looks like.
Wow.
that sounds lovely. I don't see that as a near future reality.
No, not at all. Because we had the opportunity in the 50s, but obviously, and I'm not saying like, segregation, like insert segregation for everyone. You know what I mean? I'm saying make it a choice. Give people the option.
You're asking a country to write a death certificate for their culture, because you're gonna give a whole new group of people isolation and a chance to empower themselves to where in a capitalistic society will overthrow them. They're not gonna do that. There's only one way, and that it seems to be a coming together, but that coming together being off of influence. Like, what influence is going to lead the next 2 generations? Is it going to be that of people who think like the guys on this platform right now, or are they going to be people who think more like, Trump and who?
Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, well, they've got a platform for sure. Maybe it's like I think like it's a cool idea. I mean, it's a beautiful idea. I don't know, but like something like a network or like, or like I get the idea of like, okay, we admit as a country, we enslaved countless Black people and didn't pay them for their work. It did completely and since then have been guilty as a country of a variety of fucked up things, segregation, you couldn't vote, can't get married, can't work, not making the same amount of money, redlining. And I'm not learning all these things from these conversations. But somewhere in there, you can't quantify human life. You can't quantify like generational suffering. And if in the moment you try to do that, you're going to look like fucking monster, because how much is like one baby worth? What is that? Is there and they do that with like when planes crash, they pay the families, the airlines will pay the families a certain amount of money per person who died. And I've always found that to be so fucked up, knowing there were lawyers sitting with the airline being like, what do you think we can get away with here? Like, without them, what's like a nice offer? You think they'll take miles? Do you think there's a way we could just give their family miles instead of dough? But like in this case, we're talking about something that's like, how many plane crashes is it? But somewhere in there, I think there is a quantifiable number that you could even come up with just without even saying, look, we're expecting you to pay this. And probably someone already has, but it seems like there's a number there. There's a big fucking number there that you could like, all you need is and it's so satanic, but all you need to do is if the airlines do it, all you need to do is like, what if a person dies in a burning airplane because of negligence for any reason, and we're giving their families money. What is slavery in America but a million plane crashes? You can calculate the number of slaves. So
there's a tension getting started on this with T.I. right now, the rapper. So Lloyd's London Bank, I guess we just found out that their wealth was built off of slavery. And so they became who they are off of selling enslaved people. So now they're getting attention towards saying, hey, since our ancestors were the ones who gave you your wealth, we need 10% of this company.
Wow.
And $1 million credit line for every African American with 1% interest and no credit check.
Wow.
I mean, how big is this bank we're talking?
Oh, multi-billion. Let's look them up and see, because
I'm looking.
I mean, that's interesting. Because now what's happening, which I think is beautiful, which makes this situation so complicated, especially with writing a check. You like talking about land, but then you think about, well, wait, but before you claim this land was somebody else's land, so what check are we writing them? You know what I mean?
Well, we can use that as a precedent because I mean, there's controversy about it, but the Native Americans there's reservations. They have these casinos. Right. They're making bank on the fucking casinos. They get checks sent to them from the casinos. Like, I'm not saying that's not right for like taking people off of their like land that they've been on for millennia. And then now they're like, suffering from alcoholism and like, many of them and like are in like their school, there's all kinds of other problems there, but still there's a precedent is what I'm saying. I mean, I think all this shit is kind of like on one level really unsavory to think about because you're being forced to like put a number on human trafficking and suffering and it sounds like you're being a demon, but I think start with where are the precedents? Like, okay, a person is falsely imprisoned for 50 years in a jail. They get out, and what do they get from the state? Usually they'll get like millions of dollars. Millions, right. No problem. Here's like $5 million. Here's $1 million, whatever. So slavery, you could say, is a combination of false imprisonment, forced labor, and not just all the trauma aside. So if it's $1 million, if you're spending 20 years in prison, then that means that if your grandparents were slaves or your great grandparents were slaves, then you should have inherited $1 million from them or what, there's you should have inherited that, that should be in your family.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not. I think this is the kind of thing that like makes steam blow out of Tucker Carlson's ears, but I think it's really important and really, at the very least, come up with a calculus that's inarguable. And for that, find the precedent. And from that, come up with like, here is the calculus. And so that people can't argue with it. And then maybe just having that number, then from there, who knows? I don't know. I mean, it's going to be hard to get anybody to give you money, really. It's not going to be like Lloyd's of London is like, well, of course, we were about to do that.
Exactly. I think the dope thing that's happening is more history is being talked about, and I think that's going to be the thing that helps us, because we won't continue to invest in things that we shouldn't invest in. I think that's a good start to where, okay, we've been putting so much energy and money and effort into these industries or entities that don't support us. No, we're not going to do that anymore. We're going to find somewhere else to go. So it's like almost like draining or suffocating the weeds,
Yeah. Boycott.
What? Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. In this thing, they don't even bring it up at all. They even have like a controversy section on Wikipedia, and they don't even bring it up. Like, it's like all this, like they're like tied to like arms trades, and they're tied payment protection insurance and tax evasion, retail conduct failings, divestment of government-owned shares, liberate manipulations. Phishing scams, but nothing about it's like, wow.
That's
you have it.
Okay, check this out. Okay, so those fucking mesothelioma commercials?
Yeah.
Your loved ones are So it's saying here that they've, like, in just this one website, that they've recovered $4.5 billion. And there's a $30 billion asbestos trust fund, right, for mesothelioma. So it's like, I'm again, there is nothing that can compare to how fucked up what Americans did to black people through slavery. But I'm just saying, we have, if asbestos has a $30 billion trust fund for people who have encountered asbestos, why is it crazy to imagine that the descendants of slaves shouldn't get compensated? Why is that considered to be so insane when it's literally like this? Like, why can't there be some trust fund derived from huge corporations that is then, in the same way, if you can show that you're a Native American or whatever, and then you get money. Why shouldn't you have that?
Can you imagine going to some place and they're like, "Can you prove you're African American?"
Are you sure?
Are you sure?
Yeah. But that's another part of it, is like, within this calculus, you come up with the methodology too. It's like, here's the way it would actually work. Here's where the money comes from. Bezos, Amazon, all the big corporations. I think many of them would actually donate to it. I think many corporations would donate into a fund. First, you just need the number. What's that fucking number? Is it trillions? Probably, right?
It's trillions.
Yeah.
It's trillions.
Yeah.
How many trillions is it? We just have to first, you got to come up with the number. And then from there, you can come up with a way to get that, or what would
13% of 300 million.
Bob Johnson came up with the number of 14.7 trillion, which means 42 million African Americans would get a cash payment of $350,000 and something dollars.
14.7 trillion. I don't even know how to I don't even know what that looks like. That's a lot.
That's
Hey, but that makes, I think that is, that to me, that sounds just about right. If we're paying people millions of dollars for being falsely imprisoned now, then yeah, I think like there should be some kind of some inheritance you should have gotten, some money in the family that's just not there. It should be there. It should be there, whatever it is. And I think that getting that trillions of dollars though is like, wow, where the fuck do you get it from, man? Like that would involve some kind of one-time tax for, I don't know how you do it.
Just digitize it.
They just got to add a new tax. That's all.
Yeah.
Just add a new tax. And then black people don't have to pay it though. Like that's the thing. You get exempt if you black. You don't have to pay that tax. And then every month there will be money allocated to each person, because you don't want to drop $350,000 in everybody's hand at the same time. That's just, should maybe like just allot that per month, like a little bit at a time, kind of ease that into the economy.
It would probably cause the economy to boom. That's the crazy thing. Like if you figured out a way to like get that money in there, then the American economy would probably you would see this like boom happen. Probably. It would be, it would be partially a boom. Of course, people are going to take the money and like, who knows what, it depends on how old you are to get it and everything. I think give it all in,
give it all in one fell swoop.
Hell yeah. It's like, look, you do what you need to do with this. Here you go. That's what happens when you get an inheritance. There you go. There it is. Poof.
Right.
Do whatever you want.
Right.
Whatever you want. You want whatever you want. It's your cash. You want to buy a fucking bunch of cars with this shit or ketamine or whatever the fuck it is you're interested in. There it is. It's no one's business. It's no one's business.
Right.
Do whatever you want. And then just see what happens. Then it's a taxation issue probably. But then you're going to run into the problem of like, okay, so if we're only going to tax Caucasian people, it's an interesting problem of figuring out who gets taxed, The easiest thing is just to tax everybody a little bit.
Tax everybody a little bit.
Tax everybody. Like, what is, how many, like you could, what's that again? How many trillions is it?
14.7.
Okay. So, and how many people are in America?
300 million.
So let me see if I can get Google to do this. Tell me, how much is it again? What is it?
14.7 trillion dollars.
Okay, 1 second.
What?
14
divided by
7 trillion.
no
divided-
everybody has to pay, Natalie. Everyone has to pay it.
I mean, we'll start off with everybody paying, and then it's just going to be less complex. You know, it sucks, but let's just see what it comes. Divided by 300 million is. Yeah, I don't think even Google's gonna.
Google's like, fuck you.
Google's like, get the fuck out of here.
Get the fuck out of here trying to
We're
make me
not
do math
doing-
on a Friday night. Fuck
Yeah,
you.
all that pops up on Google is reparations will never happen. Why are you wasting our processors' time?
That's funny.
It says I'm looking right now, man. It doesn't seem. It seems like we're looking at. Okay, $1 trillion divided by 300 million Americans comes out to $3,333. So if we're looking for 17 trillion and we're taxing every American, then that means that we're looking at 3,000 times 17. So that's like, what is that? $41,000. Every American would be taxed $41,000 somehow. But then maybe you could do it on income brackets or something.
And that's why I say it probably has to happen like
gradually
over time and gradually, and everybody's paying into it.
How did France get defeated in battle by Haiti, but then make Haiti pay for damages of that war, and they're still paying it off today? I think it was like $100 and something billion that Haiti had to pay back to France, kicking them out of their own country. How does something like that happen? But we can't go some compensation for something that, you know, did happen. That's strange. I feel like all of that is like mental, or who has the better way of creating laws or rules or agreements. Like, who's better at negotiating? I don't know what it is. What is that? How does that happen?
Mm-hmm. Like, I'm wondering, like, how come the first thing Obama didn't do when he got in the office, it was like, so about those reparations, like.
Well, the word is stigmatized, weirdly. You know what I mean? The word, there's been an active campaign against the word itself. So the word is highly controversial, just the word itself. So
yeah,
you bring up that, you know, it's the kind of thing, like, it's the kind of thing that people on the right just don't even want to hear you talk about it. They do, obviously. And people think that it's, you know, whatever it is. I just know that, like, there's a lot attached to that word that makes, there's a smell of like there's been a campaign to make that a bad word instead of an honest, like, it's like, yeah, why are mesothelioma victims getting this money? Why are people who are stuck in prison getting this money? But a few generations back, you know, that's real. Like, there's supposed to be a chunk of dough in your family from all the work that, you know, your ancestors did for free. They were supposed to get paid. You were supposed to have some. Maybe they would have invested that. You know, who knows what they would have done? Maybe they would have started their own businesses. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, it's real.
I'm gonna play. Okay, so what about this philosophy idea? What if that reparation, not a reparation, but the gift, right? So, in our culture, our biggest heroes are people who had to, like, go through the toughest challenges, right? So what if just that experience alone is part of that inheritance? Like, you know, our community has been through a lot, but the recipe or the concoction that's come from all of that brew has been the most influential people, you know, around the world. So that's a beautiful experience to be proud of. And I guess that all of that happened so that this would happen, even though it's not something that we want to stay in because it's still kind of toxic, some of the behavior and ideas that we perpetuate. But you see this light or this energy or this new rhythm that the world hasn't seen before, it's new. So it's like a welcoming party to the world.
This moment is in time. Yeah.
I feel like something else was coming after that.
No, I was asking as a question. You're saying this moment in time is a sort of walking into a new rhythm.
Yeah. Or just that whole process created something new. It's like America itself is something new. Like it's pretty messed up. Like it got a lot of messed up stuff, but it also gave us new things that never existed before, which it was just, it was dope. It's like a beautiful gem, Yeah. So that's all I'm saying.
Almost like the things are necessary in order to get to this point. Like, I hate the way things have been, but in order to get to where we are right now, which is not so bad, has to go through that.
Well, not even not so bad, but it's like if you take away the bad that has been or still is happening, like we have this is a cool place to be. And everybody else around the world wants to be here and they want to be like us. They want to be like the Americans. Like whatever it was that we created after that time period, the rest of the world is like, we want to be like you guys. We still got a lot of rebuilding to do and a lot of healing to do from this past trauma, but it's like we've brought to the planet this new idea of whether it be this collective melting pot that is attractive, or the way we talk, or how we like it's something was new, but I think it's dope. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it took an awful mess to create this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can see that.
I think that's definitely a beautiful way to look at it. It's like, I mean, we're talking, it's like, here's a question. Where does the atonement stop? Do you stop the atonement with Black people? What about the Vietnamese? What about the people in Iraq? What about the 100,000 civilian casualties in Iraq? What about, you know what I'm saying? Where does
I think
it stop?
I think that's the reason why it hasn't started. As soon as that door opens, we're going to talk about everything. Just like right now with history. Like, we talk about one statue. Let's talk about the rest of them. Since we're talking about that, let's talk about the names of these schools. Since we're talking about that, let's talk about everybody's last name. Why is my last name Wilson or Washington or, all these names that don't identify where I come from, but somebody that enslaved me? Like, we have to address, or do we have to address it? I don't know, but that's what's happening. Like it's sending you down this unraveling of, like, we're going to talk about everything. But what does that end? Like you said, how far does that go?
That's a can of worms. That's what it is. Maybe that is it. It's just like, I remember when I heard that statistic that we've been at war for 93% of our history, and yeah, that's a really bizarre thing. And we're so young.
Yeah.
And we're 93% of we're always at war. We're always dropping bombs, and we never, bombs are not dropped on us, but we're always like, you just hear about a drone strike kills a wedding party or whatever. You always hear about that, and it kind of just floats by. You just imagine you're at your best friend's wedding and a fucking bomb drops.
Yeah.
Whoa. Yeah.
I saw this I saw a video and I really didn't want to see it. But it was like one of those things when Facebook first started playing the videos, when you just scroll and the video just starts playing all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And I guess, man, like they had done all this stuff, and this guy was carrying like a friend or somebody, man, he's carrying another guy, but the dude's whole head was like blown open and flapping off. And it's just like, that's just the casualty of war. That's what war looks like. That's what it is. And people who support it need to see stuff like that so they'll know what they're supporting.
That's right.
But I don't necessarily support war. That I didn't want to see that. It was pretty awful for me.
But we're in the mental war, and that's the hardest one to address because some of the chains that are wrapped around your mind are disguised as your most personal, vulnerable thoughts that you think are real about yourself.
Oh, shit. That's so cool.
Oh man. How do you deal with that's a hard thing to deal with when you have to turn that into a chain, like, oh, I have to break away from this. That's
wow, that's so cool, man. You identify with the chain. Wow.
Yeah.
That is heavy duty.
I mean, literally being linked to the people around. I think that's why I've been finding myself in such the middle of the road with a lot of things lately, man. I mean, we talked about this thing with the masks and like, how is this really divisive thing now? It's like mask or no mask. Like, whose side are you on right now?
Yeah.
And how mad and the vitriol that comes from people who are very, very decided on what it is that you should do. Wear a mask or not wear a mask. And it's just like I don't know, man. Like, and I hear both sides. And, like, basically the reason why I'm like, yeah, just wear a mask is because it's just easier to like wear a mask and be safe and, consider others and that kind of thing. I don't feel infringed upon or like, I don't feel like I need to go and say I have a medical condition. I can't wear this thing. I don't need to be in spaces where I have to wear it that long.
Right.
I don't know, man. It's just such an interesting thing though, where it's like, it makes me, the way some people are like mask shamed on the side of the people who don't wear masks. Like, it's just like I feel bad for them sometimes. Like, they really deserve that much hate and vitriol sometimes. It's just a weird thing.
I don't get it, man. What it's like you see these people freaking out in the Costco or whatever. It's like, what's your problem? Just put it on your face. You're only you're in Costco for a while actually, but it's like still, I think like the CDC guidelines are, if you are in a place where you don't think you can distance yourself from people, wear a mask. Right. So it's no big deal. If you're outside and there's lots of space around you and you're not going to like run into people hiking, you could wear them. You could have it on hand in case like you need to pop it on your face or something like that. But if you're in a store, I think it's more about like respecting the employees at the store more than anything. Like, they got to be there all day, and like just like, it's no big deal. I honestly, man, I remember, did we already talk about that? I was leaving the Denver Comedy Works when this shit was hitting, before it was like announced as a pandemic. And my conspiracy theory radar thing was already going off. I'm like, something's coming. So I went to all the drugstores trying to find masks for the airport ride back. All sold out, already gone. And this is before it was even declared a pandemic, already fucking gone. And that's when I started getting goosebumps. And like, I'm riding to the Denver airport with Johnny Pemberton, who's a comic who opened up for me. And he's hilarious, man. He likes to go to like Western wear stores. So he had bought like these cowboy boots. And he had bought all these like bandanas. And so then he just reached in his pocket and pulled these bandanas out. And so we're wearing bandanas through the airport. I felt so dumb, but you know what I mean? But it was so nice because like this was still in the early days of it. And like, man, going to the airport's fucking nasty. It's not, and I'm like, it's nasty. People sneeze. People are just fucking sneeze.
Yeah.
American free sneezers, just like.
And why is the airport this?
What's that?
What'd you say?
Why is that the time when it comes out the most? Like you don't see people like that at the grocery store, or at church, nowhere else. You get to the airport,
They don't even cover their mouth.
it's like it's right.
Mm-mm.
That's the thing. Nothing makes me want to strangle a person more than a fucking free sneezer in an airport. Just like, yeah, yeah. Like, you know, just the particulates everywhere.
Yeah.
So I think like if like tomorrow we wake up and they're like, yeah, I don't know, the pandemic, it just died, it mutated, it's gone. I'm still gonna wear a fucking mask at the airport and like have one around and stuff because I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't like getting sick anyway, you know. But people have identified it as just like a Bill Gates mind control psyops program designed to make people bow down to an authoritarian police state. The idea is to train people to do what they're told, not based on any kind of democratic anything. This is the conspiracy idea. Teach them to wear the fucking mask first. Once you get them wearing the mask, then they'll, you know, do something else, and they'll do something else. And that's the conspiracy theorist idea, because it's easier for them to believe that Bill Gates is engineering this shit than it is to imagine that sometimes in the planet fucking pandemics happen historically, and you just have to adapt to it temporarily.
See, yeah, dog. All these like theories and stuff like that, man. It's just making it very murky, and like I feel like now is like the best time to rely on your gut and what it is that like your gut tells you, and just fucking go for it, because you're not gonna get any real truth from politicians, because they're gonna tell you things that they want to tell you and that you want to hear.
That's right.
You know, if a
That's
fart
right.
can get through two ass cheeks, underwear and jeans, what the fuck do y'all think the virus can't come through?
What is that? Wait, what?
Oh
Oh my God. I think my brain just processed that. Jesus Christ.
Oh man.
Oh, I thought that was funny.
I mean,
Look, this is something that look at this, y'all. This is something that I've saw that's got me really excited. Ketamine as a potential treatment for COVID-19.
Oh, that's interesting. Somebody said weed was too. So
if it turns out that weed and ketamine are the cure for COVID-19,
oh man, no wonder.
I will never stop laughing. I'm like
Right.
that means yes, we are truly like things are turning around for the better. If that
Yeah.
ends up being like, yeah, you just have to get stoned and do a couple of rails of ketamine and you're fine.
Wow.
Right.
That'd be the best.
Wow.
Now, what you know, I've been hearing you talk about ketamine a lot. Talk to me about ketamine. What is this? What is the what's the lowdown on ketamine?
Ketamine is like a breakthrough. Like it's like a. What's awesome about it is it's, you know, people say it's a dog tranquilizer, it's a horse tranquilizer, but this is it's actually like a globally used as an anesthetic, and a dissociative anesthetic is what it's called. And so like people were reporting that after treatments, folks were coming out and their moods had gotten better somehow. And this has been going on for years. People were just saying, like, if you give someone intramuscular ketamine, their mood seems to improve after the treatment. And so basically they found out that it actually like something like 58% of people who have been diagnosed with a real depression, one treatment of intramuscular ketamine can like lift the depression. It affects a completely different part of the brain, the GABA receptors. You don't have to do the thing where if you're taking antidepressants, you have to go through like a month or two to get it all balanced out. You just get blasted with this stuff and you trip your ass off. Like you are gone. It destroys it annihilates your body. You hallucinate. You see crazy shit, man. Like you go to alternate dimensions. you can see aliens, you see like other plants. I've turned into like a field of flowers on it, where you're like just a field of flowers just kind of blowing in the wind, but you can't, if you do like that amount, you can't walk. You're just completely like you can't move, and you're like gone. But it's beautiful. It's not, it's like people use it recreationally in smaller doses. It's like creates like kind of a euphoria, and it's nice, but that's kind of wasting what it's for, if you ask me.
Right.
It's just like it will
You
put
gotta
you in
blast it.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends. Some people they call it the K-hole, and so they don't like it, because when you go there, you're not coming back for 45 minutes. Like once you go in, you're done, and so, like, yeah, you're done. But when you're in there, you can like navigate in that space, and that's just been very healing for me. I don't keep it around, or I don't, like, my friend has a clinic where, like, if I feel like I'm getting depressed, I might go. If I'm starting to get worried that I'm getting, like, my depression is coming back, it's nice to know there's a treatment for it. But otherwise, it's a little sticky, so you got to look out. It's too easy. You know what I mean? It gives you this nice euphoric little like, but people get habituated to it, and I'm one of them, so I can't keep it around, unfortunately. But if you're suffering from depression, or if you are taking like antidepressants, you can go right now to clinics all over LA and sit with real doctors who will like give you these treatments. They even will give you they have a new like aerosolized spray, so you're not like snorting powder. You're like actually like it's a mist that you can inhale. Fucking Dr. Drew told me they're talking about giving people spinal implants of it. Because it's that there. It's in psychiatric medicine, it's like a huge breakthrough, because if someone comes in, they're suicidal. In fact, they give suicidal people ketamine. Like when people come in and they're suicidal, they'll give them ketamine. But if someone's suicidal and has an endogenous depression that isn't lifting, anyone, I don't know how many people listen to what we're doing here, but anyone who's been through a depression, man, you would do anything to get. Have you gotten depressed before?
Yeah, man.
Anything. I would give anything to feel again, to not be so sleepy, to anything.
Yeah.
And including taking Zoloft, which I took in college, and you can't fucking come on Zoloft. So it's like, like it sucks. Like, but ketamine, it's like something like 4 treatments in a month, weekly treatments, and it's intense. But at the end of that cycle, there's really great results there's tons of studies out there.
Wow.
And it's 60% of people, so it might not work for everybody, but it definitely worked for me.
Yeah, I mean, the first, I mean, I've heard of ketamine before, but lately it's been brought up because of Elijah McClain, and it's just sort of like they gave him a dosage of somebody 100 pounds heavier than him, and therefore that's what sent his body into shock. And then I was like, whoa, man, that's intense, and then when I hear you talking about it, I'm conflicted in the sense of like, oh, well, wait a minute.
Right.
What is that thing then? You know what I mean? Like, what is it about that? Like, how are they dosing it to Elijah McClain? And like, were they trying to do it to get him to calm down or something? Or like, what was the case with that?
That's what they were thinking, but they were assholes. It's just they didn't know what they were doing. That's a non-consensual dose of ketamine, like blasted into somebody. And man, fuck that. Like that was not if there is quote good news, which there isn't in that situation, you can't that probably that amount that's it. Like there was no person there. Like he was like, it puts you right out of your body. Like he wasn't there in his body anymore.
Yeah.
But they do surgeries. I mean, they cut people open on that. They cut people open and do surgeries on it. So he was probably, but that's just someone who's untrained fucking up. It sounds like,
How's have you heard of kratom, right?
Kratom. Yeah, that
Kratom.
the opiate replacement, like people who get addicted to painkillers take it. Is that what it is?
I think
Kratom.
so. Yeah.
Yeah, I had that. I had that in Brooklyn because I heard there was this Kratom bar, and I heard it's like Vicodin or something. So I was bored one day, and I rode my bike there, and I'm like, "Give me the strongest one you got," because I'm like, "There's no way this shit works like painkillers." And I drank it, and then I'm on my bike, and I'm like, oh, "I'm starting to feel pretty good." I'm like, "I'll stop in this little store here," and I go in the store, and I'm like, I just like had to fucking puke. My hearing was like going woo, 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 woo. I got back on my bike, rode home, lay in bed for like 6 hours, sicker than shit. Fuck Kratom. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, but it's strong. It's in it, and for people who've gotten addicted to painkillers, which thank God I never did. But once you get addicted to painkillers, man, like that's a real that's like a real addiction.
Yeah.
You know? And you
But
need. Yeah.
But I heard kratom was highly addictive too.
Yeah, well, it's swapping one. I mean, with kratom, you're talking about a natural, like a plant medicine versus like this like shit from the pharmaceutical companies, like intentionally designed to put a fishing hook in your soul that is always attached to them. You know, this is like at least it's a plant medicine, and at least it's like for something in between going off.
Right.
Shani.
Somebody had a question on here actually. But do you think proper training would have altered their judgment despite them shooting him with it after 2 already had him ascertained? Thanks for that question, Chris.
I mean, it's creepy. You're talking about like this is like hell realm shit. I mean, you're talking about people shoving needles into prisoners filled with like a psychoactive drug. This is some. Did you ever see Jacob's Ladder?
Oh no.
Yeah.
There's a scene where he ends up it's just creepy, but it's like there's a scene where he ends up in a trapped in some kind of asylum situation, and they're like poking needles. You know, this is some Hellraiser shit. I think that's a great point, which is like, yeah, like do you like once you've already like gotten someone like to like restrained, and then you're injecting them with like shit. I mean, it's just the fact that even happens. That's one of the things that happens is you get caught, they handcuff you, and then they're like, you know, it's like you got abducted by aliens. They're like poking shit into you, you know, that you can't say I don't want a needle in me. They're just like, there you go.
Right.
Same thing they do with you know, when they're like shooting darts at animals, man. That's like do that to a human.
Have you there's a cannabis so I think his name is Rick Simpson because it's called RSO oil, Rick Simpson oil, and it's some highly concentrated THC, and if you take enough of it, it's very dark and sticky. It'll put you out the same way you just described ketamine does. This cannabis oil apparently does the same thing, and it's supposed to heal like 50 different ailments. So it's basically putting your body in such a relaxed state to where it's allowing itself to like recalibrate itself. Yeah. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Do you think it actually treats cancer? That's what people are saying, that it like has the potential to put.
Oh, that's right. They did say that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, I from my understanding, listening to Dr. Sebi, the body naturally heals itself, and the thing that gets in the way of it healing itself is stagnant energy. So once the body is able to have a flow of energy, is able to heal anything. So maybe the oil isn't treating the cancer, but maybe the oil is getting the body into a place to where it can take care of the cancer in such a way for itself. This thing is intelligent, man. This human body of ours.
It's a computer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I learned that when a baby is breastfeeding and it's biting on that nipple, that saliva is going into the nipple, and it uh, the woman's body can calibrate what's low and what's high or what's deficient inside of the child, and then add that to the breast milk to then give back to the child. That's some pretty that's some pretty advanced stuff right there.
Right?
Yeah, that's
Like,
crazy.
Who's thinking this? You know what I mean?
Yeah, when the
Yeah.
baby gets sick, the breast milk will change color.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know that. Wow.
It's
Yeah,
weird.
that's dope.
Weird,
Mm.
man. That's crazy to think
Wow.
about, man. All that
Yeah.
stuff with mothers is just wow.
I know, man. Women are fucking amazing, dude.
Yeah.
Fuck,
Shout
dude.
out to all the women.
Shout out to the ladies
Shout out.
for doing all the magical things.
Right.
Yeah. And my wife's like growing optic nerves in her womb right now.
Yeah.
You know, like that's actually happening right now. My wife is like got a being that's like is swimming around in there. It's just so like
Right.
nuts.
Look at all you can do is get stiff. Fucking loser. That's it. That's all you can do.
Come.
That's it. Get stiff and spit. The fuck?
Oh man.
Literally, like as basic
Yeah.
as you can get. It's just
It's as
blood
basic as you can
filling
get.
up.
You dumb glue stick. That's all you are. Dumb glue stick.
Is it true that if a child needs a blood transfusion that it can only get blood from the father and not the mother? That's what I was told when I was younger, growing up.
Well, I'm gonna find out.
I don't know.
Oh, a quick Google search.
Quick Google search.
Because that's the thing a lot of men used to use against women to say, like, no, the father is the most important because he's the one that gives the blood. If the baby needs blood, it comes from the man, so it's the man's seed. It's like, but no, you weren't there to like in those 9 months, you didn't do anything. So what are you talking about?
That's so, man, that's so insecure. It's like, why? What is this fucking competition? You didn't grow life in your stomach. That didn't happen to you. You didn't do that. So stop with the whole like, no, you need me for if your kid's hand gets in the lawnmower.
Right.
What are you talking about?
Who's gonna teach him sword fighting and whatnot?
Yeah. Yeah. You need my blood. I don't know. I was reading now, they're saying that like, because the idea is like, okay, the sperm make this like wild journey, right? And finally they reach the egg, and then it's like in my mind, it's always been like a marathon or something, right? And the one that like wins the race and makes it through all that, whatever that landscape is, gets to become half a human. It's like, but actually they're saying now the egg actually decides the sperm that it wants. So so it sends out chemicals that like slow down some of the sperm that don't have the qualities it's looking for, and then it like inhales the one that it likes. So it's like we don't even get to say, well, at least what, like my sperm won the race. It's like no, it didn't. Like
No,
the
it didn't.
egg chose.
That just blew my mind a little bit.
Yeah,
That blew my mind.
It's wild.
Wow.
Yeah.
That makes her even more powerful.
So this says here, due to the complexity of the ABO blood group genetics, parents may actually not be ABO compatible with their children. Therefore, even if parents donate the blood components, collected may not be suitable for their child's transfusion. So basically, like, and then when the question was asked, does a baby get its blood from the father? Then each biological parent donates one of their 2 ABO alleles to their child. A mother who is blood type O can only pass an O allele to her son or daughter. This couple could have children of either blood type A from a mother and the A from a father, or blood type B, O from a mother and B from a father. So they could still donate, but they would just have to make sure that the blood matched.
Yeah.
But most of the time, if like a mother is an O type blood, then she may not be compatible with her A or B. I mean, it's supposed to be universal, but from what they're saying, at least from what I gather, they're saying that it might not be possible, and that's why they would have to get it from the father.
Oh,
If the mother is an O type.
Hey, y'all, I got to wrap this one up a little early tonight.
Oh man, absolutely.
These things are so fun, and
Absolutely.
I hope we keep doing them forever. It's just a blast. I mean, we're basically doing a podcast here.
right.
Essentially,
that's what it is.
Okay. Addie wanted to say good night to you guys.
Oh! Hey, good night.
Good night,
Maui.
You see him looking like the Three Stooges.
Yes.
hello.
Hey, so I'll see y'all on Friday, right? We'll do it again this Friday,
man.
and then
We'll
maybe we
see you
can
next
have a gathering soon. And thank you again for that wonderful gift, Marcus.
Oh man, dude, absolutely, man. I'm gonna find that Black Obsidian, bro.
I'm gonna start looking for some for you, man. All right, I'll see y'all later.
All right, now y'all.
Man.
Peace, y'all.
Bye.